Sometimes life feels confusing, painful, and uncertain. You may feel like you are walking in darkness, not knowing where you are going, why things are happening, or why certain doors have closed. But this message is about hope. This speech reminds you that even in your darkest season, something powerful is being rearranged in your life. What looks like defeat may actually be divine preparation. Watch or listen closely, because this message is for anyone who feels lost but is still holding on to faith. This powerful motivational faith speech speaks to your heart when life feels silent, confusing, and heavy. When you cannot see the path ahead, it does not mean you are abandoned. Sometimes growth happens in darkness before glory appears in light. This message will encourage your spirit, strengthen your faith, and help you believe that something greater is happening behind the scenes of your life. My dear friend, there are moments in life when you cannot understand what is happening to you. You pray, but answers seem delayed. You try to move forward, but doors keep closing. You ask why certain dreams have not yet come true. And in those moments, darkness does not feel peaceful. It feels confusing. But I want you to know something very important tonight. Darkness is not always a sign of abandonment. Sometimes darkness is the place where preparation happens. Seeds grow in the soil before they grow in the sunlight. Roots go deeper before branches reach higher. And your life may be going through a season where God is working where your eyes cannot see. There are times when God removes certain people from your life. Not because you are not valuable, but because your destiny is greater than your comfort. Some relationships were only meant to stay for a season to teach you strength, wisdom, and faith. When they leave, do not see it as loss. See it as God protecting your future. There are also moments when your plans collapse. You worked hard. You gave your best. You believed things would happen in a certain way. But suddenly, everything changed. And you felt like you were standing in darkness. But I want you to remember this truth. God is not limited by broken plans. When one path closes, He can open a greater one you never imagined. You may feel invisible in this season. You may feel like nobody understands your struggles. You may even wonder if your prayers are heard. But I tell you with confidence, silence does not mean absence. Sometimes God is working quietly, preparing blessings that are too powerful to be revealed too early. Think about how diamonds are formed. They are not created in comfort. They are formed under pressure, deep beneath the surface, where heat and time transform something ordinary into something priceless. Your character, your faith, and your strength are being shaped in ways you cannot yet fully understand. Do not give up just because you cannot see the end of the story. Your life is not finished being written. The darkest night does not last forever. Dawn always comes. And when dawn comes, it often reveals what darkness was preparing. If you are feeling broken today, do not be ashamed of your struggle. Brokenness does not mean failure. Sometimes brokenness is the place where God rebuilds something stronger in your life. He is rearranging your future, repositioning your opportunities, and aligning you with blessings you have not even prayed for yet. You may be asking, why is this happening to me? And I cannot always give you human answers, but I can tell you this: faith is not believing when everything is clear. Faith is believing when you cannot see the next step. Keep moving forward. Keep praying. Keep believing. Even when you feel weak, remember that strength is often born in struggle. Even when you feel alone, Remember that you are not forgotten even when life feels dark. Remember that God is still working. Your story is not over. Your life is being rearranged for something greater than you can imagine. And when you finally step into your promised season, you will look back and understand that the darkness was not your enemy. It was your preparation. Hold on, stay faithful, because something beautiful is being prepared for you even now. My dear friend, I want you to listen carefully to this truth tonight. There are seasons in life when you feel surrounded by darkness. Not the darkness of night alone, but the darkness of confusion, disappointment, and unanswered questions. You may be walking through a season where you cannot clearly see the road ahead. You may have prayed, cried, and waited for change, yet everything around you seems to be shifting in ways you do not understand. But I want to tell you something powerful and comforting. Just because you cannot see what God is doing does not mean He is not working. Sometimes the greatest work of divine love happens in the quiet places where human eyes cannot observe. Think about how a farmer works. He does not panic when the field is dark at night. He knows that beneath the soil, seeds are quietly changing. Roots are growing deeper, even though no one can see them. Your life may be in a similar season right now. You may feel like nothing is happening, but in reality, something deep and powerful is taking place inside your character, inside your faith, and inside your future. God is not always interested in making your life comfortable. Sometimes He is more concerned with making your life strong, resilient, and ready for the purpose He has prepared for you. There are times when God allows certain relationships to fade away from your life. And I know that can be painful. You may ask why people you trusted have walked away. You may wonder why friendships change or why love does not always stay. But sometimes God removes people not because you are not worthy of love, but because your destiny requires strength you have not yet developed. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season, to teach you lessons about wisdom, faith, and emotional strength. When they leave, do not allow bitterness to grow in your heart. Instead, allow faith to grow deeper. You may also be facing disappointment in your plans. You had dreams. You had goals. You believed things would happen a certain way, but suddenly life changed directions. And in those moments, you may feel like giving up. But I want you to remember that human plans are limited, while divine purpose is eternal. When one door closes, it does not mean your story is ending. It may mean God is guiding you toward something greater than you ever imagined. The future God is preparing for you may be bigger than the future you planned for yourself. Do not measure your life by comparing it to others. Comparison often steals peace from the heart. You may see others succeeding faster, moving faster, or achieving more quickly. But remember that God does not measure success by speed. He measures success by faithfulness. Some people are moving fast, but God may be preparing you to carry something heavier, something deeper, something more meaningful for your life and for others. You may feel weak in this season, but weakness is often where God's strength becomes most visible. When you feel like you cannot continue, that is often when divine strength begins to carry you forward. Faith is not believing only when everything is clear. Faith is trusting even when the path is hidden. Keep praying when answers are delayed. Keep believing when circumstances look impossible. Keep walking forward even when your steps are small and uncertain. Because I tell you this with hope and confidence, Your life is not random. Your suffering is not meaningless. Something is being rearranged in your life, even in the darkness. And when the light finally breaks through, you will see that the darkness was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you for something greater than you ever dreamed possible. My friend, tonight I want to speak directly to your heart, because there are moments in life when the soul feels heavy, when the spirit feels tired, and when hope seems distant. You may be standing in a place where you are asking, why is this happening to me? And I want you to know that you are not the first person to ask that question, and you will not be the last. Throughout history, people of faith have walked through seasons of uncertainty, wondering if God had forgotten them. But I want you to hear this clearly. God has never forgotten His children, even in the darkest hours of their lives. There is a powerful truth hidden inside your struggles. Sometimes what feels like silence from heaven is actually God working in ways too deep for human understanding. You may feel like you are walking through a long night, the night of loneliness, the night of waiting, the night of questions that have no immediate answers. But remember this, the night is never permanent. Night is only a season that prepares the world for morning light, and your life is no different. What you are experiencing today is not the final chapter of your story. It is only part of a much larger story that God is writing with wisdom and love. There are moments when God allows hardship to strengthen your faith, not because He enjoys seeing you suffer, but because He knows what your future requires. A life without testing is a life without spiritual strength. Think about how steel is made strong. It is placed into fire, and through heat and pressure, it becomes something powerful enough to build great structures. Your faith is being strengthened in the same way. You may not feel strong today, but strength is often born in struggle. God is building endurance inside you so that you can stand strong when greater blessings come into your life. You may be worried about your future. You may wonder if your dreams will ever come true. But I want to remind you that God is never late. Human timing and divine timing are not the same. You may feel like your prayers are delayed, but delay is not denial. Sometimes God is preparing circumstances, people, and opportunities that you cannot yet see. When the moment is right, doors will open that no human power can shut. And when they open, you will know that it was not by luck, but by divine purpose. You are valuable in the eyes of God. Do not let the world tell you that your worth is based on success, popularity, or material things. Your worth comes from being created with purpose. Even when you feel invisible, heaven sees you. Even when people misunderstand you, God understands your heart. And there is comfort in knowing that your life is held in the hands of a loving Creator who knows every fear, every tear, and every silent prayer you have ever spoken. Keep moving forward, even when you cannot see the full road ahead. Keep believing, even when circumstances challenge your faith, because the same God who works in darkness is the same God who brings light into your tomorrow. And something beautiful is being prepared for your life, even now, in places where you cannot yet see. My friend, tonight I want to speak to those who feel forgotten, to those who feel that life has placed them in a place of waiting and wondering. There are seasons in life when you feel as if you are standing in darkness, not the darkness of evil, but the darkness of uncertainty. You may have prayed for change, yet change has not come as quickly as you hoped. You may have believed for miracles, yet miracles seem delayed. But I want to remind you of something powerful tonight. God is not only present in moments of victory, He is also present in moments of waiting, in moments of silence, and in moments when your heart feels tired. There is something sacred about the dark seasons of life. Just like the night prepares the world for the sunrise, your struggles may be preparing you for a greater revelation of purpose. When you cannot see the road ahead, it does not mean you are lost. It may simply mean that God is asking you to walk by faith and not by sight. Faith has always been the foundation of spiritual victory. Faith is believing in the promise even when circumstances speak differently. Faith is trusting God when emotions feel weak and when circumstances feel overwhelming. You may feel like giving up sometimes. You may feel like your prayers are hitting the ceiling and returning unanswered. But I want you to remember that God hears prayers that are spoken in tears just as He hears prayers spoken in words. Sometimes the deepest prayers are not spoken with the mouth, but felt in the heart. And God understands those silent cries. He understands the prayers you never shared with anyone. He understands the fears you have hidden inside your heart when you smile in front of others but feel pain inside. There are moments when God allows you to face challenges because He is building spiritual maturity inside you. The world teaches that comfort is success, but God often teaches that character is more important than comfort. Your character is being shaped in ways that may not feel pleasant today, but will become your strength tomorrow. Like a potter shaping clay, God works patiently, carefully, and purposefully in your life. Sometimes the pressure you feel is not destruction, it is transformation. You may be asking why certain dreams have not come true yet. You worked hard. You stayed faithful. You tried to do everything right. Yet doors have remained closed. But I want you to understand that closed doors are not always signs of failure. Sometimes they are signs of protection. Sometimes God protects you from opportunities that would have taken you away from your purpose. Sometimes what you wanted was not big enough for what God had planned for you. Do not lose hope because of your current situation. Your current chapter is not your final chapter. Life is seasons. There is a season for planting, a season for waiting, and a season for harvest. You may be in a planting season where growth is happening beneath the surface. Roots grow in hidden places before fruit appears on branches. Your faith is growing stronger even when you cannot see visible results yet. Remember this truth tonight. God is not finished with your story. The darkness you are facing is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to deepen your faith and prepare you for greater blessings. Stay faithful in the small things. Stay faithful when life is difficult. Stay faithful when answers are slow, because the same God who watches over you in darkness will also reveal His glory in your light-filled tomorrow. My friend, tonight I want you to listen to this message with hope in your heart, because there are seasons in life when you feel surrounded by uncertainty, when you feel as if you are walking without clear direction. You may be asking questions deep inside your soul. Questions like, where is God in my suffering? Or why is this happening to me? And I want you to know tonight that you are not alone in asking those questions. People of faith throughout history have walked through valleys of uncertainty, yet God has always remained faithful to those who trust in Him. There is something deeply spiritual about the dark seasons of life. Darkness does not always represent destruction. Sometimes darkness represents preparation. Just as the earth is dark beneath the soil where seeds are planted, yet life is still growing, so it is in your life. You may feel unseen. You may feel overlooked. You may feel like nothing is happening in your favor. But I want you to understand something powerful. God is often working most actively in the places where human eyes cannot see. Your life is not being forgotten. It is being carefully prepared for something greater than you can imagine. You may be struggling with disappointment. You may have trusted people who let you down. You may have believed promises that were never fulfilled. And that pain can stay in the heart like a heavy burden. But tonight I want to encourage you not to allow bitterness to grow where faith should live. Bitterness destroys hope. Faith restores it. When people disappoint you, do not allow your heart to become hardened. Instead, allow God to heal the places that have been broken by life's struggles. You may also feel like your life is moving slower than others around you. You may see others succeed faster, achieve more quickly, and move forward in ways that make you question your own journey. But I want you to remember that God does not measure your life by speed. He measures your life by obedience and faithfulness. Some people are called to move quickly, while others are called to walk slowly, but deeply with God, learning lessons that will give them strength for greater responsibilities in the future. There are moments when you feel spiritually tired, and you may feel like praying is difficult. You may feel like believing is difficult, but even in those moments, God does not measure your faith by how loud you pray, but by how sincerely you trust Him in your weakness. The strongest faith is not always loud faith. Sometimes it is quiet faith that continues believing even when emotions are tired. You may feel like your future is unclear, but I want you to hold on to this promise in your heart. God is never confused about your life. While you may not know what tomorrow holds, God already knows the path He is preparing for you. He is rearranging opportunities, aligning relationships, and preparing blessings that will come at the right time. Keep moving forward, even if you move slowly. Keep trusting, even if you cannot see the full picture, because your life is not finished being written. And the darkness you are walking through today is not your final destination. It is simply part of a greater journey toward purpose, hope, and divine destiny that God is preparing for you. My friend, tonight I want you to listen closely, because this message is for every heart that feels tired, every soul that feels uncertain, and every person who is walking through a season of pain and waiting. There are moments in life when darkness does not feel peaceful. Darkness feels heavy. Darkness feels confusing. You may be asking, how long must I wait? You may be asking, why is my life taking this path? And I want you to hear this truth tonight. God is never lost in your story, even when you feel lost inside your circumstances. There are times when God allows you to walk through dark seasons because He is teaching you to trust Him beyond what you can see. You see, human nature wants clear answers immediately. We want explanations for every struggle. We want reasons for every disappointment. But faith does not always operate on explanations. Faith operates on trust. Faith is walking forward even when the road ahead is covered in darkness. Faith is believing that God is still good even when life feels hard. You may feel lonely in this season. You may feel like nobody truly understands what you are going through. You may smile in front of others while carrying heavy burdens inside your heart. But I want you to remember something powerful tonight. God sees what others do not see. God hears what others cannot hear. God understands your silent prayers. The prayers you never shared with anyone are not ignored by heaven. They are heard by a loving God who cares deeply about your pain and your future. Sometimes God allows loneliness to push you closer to Him. When life is comfortable, people often forget to depend on God. But when life becomes difficult, hearts often turn back toward faith. And that is not punishment. That is spiritual awakening. God is not trying to destroy you in your dark season. He is trying to draw you closer to His presence. The darkest nights of your life may become the moments where you discover the deepest relationship with God you have ever known. You may be facing financial struggles, emotional struggles, or struggles in relationships. You may feel like everything around you is unstable, but I want you to hold on to hope. Your circumstances do not determine your destiny. Your faith in God determines how you walk through your circumstances. Many great lives of faith were built during times of hardship, not during times of comfort. Do not allow fear to control your future. Fear is a voice that tries to convince you that your story is finished. But faith says your story is still being written. Fear tells you to give up. Faith tells you to keep moving forward. Fear tells you that you are alone. Faith tells you that God is with you even when you cannot feel His presence. You may feel weak today, but weakness is not the end of your story. Weakness is often where God's power becomes most visible. When you feel like you cannot continue, that is often when God begins to carry you forward in ways you never expected. Keep praying. Keep believing. Keep holding on, even when hope feels small, because I tell you tonight with confidence and love, your life is not being destroyed in darkness. Your life is being rearranged for something greater than your current understanding. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that God was working even in the places where you felt completely alone. And that realization will fill your heart with gratitude, faith, and overwhelming hope. My friend, tonight I want to speak to those who feel like life has taken them into a season they never expected. You may have had plans. You may have dreamed of a different future. But suddenly, life changed directions, and now you are standing in a place of uncertainty. And I want you to know this truth tonight. God is never surprised by the storms that surprise you. What feels like confusion to you is never confusion to Him. He sees the beginning and the end of your story at the same time. There are moments in life when God allows you to walk through hardship because He is preparing something greater inside your heart. You may not understand it today, but faith is not about understanding everything. Faith is about trusting God even when understanding is impossible. The greatest victories of faith have often been born in the darkest seasons of human life. When you feel like you are walking in darkness, remember that darkness does not mean God has abandoned you. It may simply mean He is working beneath the surface of your life, shaping something beautiful that you cannot yet see. You may feel discouraged because your life has not moved at the speed you expected. You may see others moving forward, achieving success, building their lives, while you feel like you are waiting. But I want you to know that waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. God is never idle in your waiting. While you wait, He is building patience in your spirit. While you wait, He is strengthening your character. While you wait, He is preparing opportunities that will be stronger and greater than anything you could have created by your own effort. There are times when God removes things from your life that you desperately wanted to keep, and that can feel painful. But sometimes God removes temporary things to make room for eternal purpose. You may not see the blessing in loss today, but one day you may look back and realize that what you thought was rejection was actually protection. God protects His children even when they do not understand His methods. His love is not always comfortable, but it is always faithful. You may be carrying burdens that no one else sees. You may be smiling in public while crying in private. You may feel like you are fighting battles inside your heart that you cannot explain to others. But I want you to hear this tonight. God hears prayers that are never spoken out loud. He hears the silent cries of broken hearts. He sees tears that fall when no one is watching. And He cares deeply about every struggle you face. Do not allow despair to convince you that your future is hopeless. Hope is not based on your circumstances. Hope is based on God's faithfulness. History has shown that God often does His greatest work in places where human strength is weakest. When people feel powerless, God's power becomes most visible. When people feel lost, God becomes the guiding light that leads them forward. You may feel tired tonight. You may feel like giving up. But I want to speak life into your spirit. Do not quit in the darkness, because dawn is coming. Do not abandon faith, because answers are delayed. Keep walking forward, even if your steps are small. Keep trusting God, even when you cannot feel His presence. Because your life is not being forgotten. It is being carefully prepared for a future filled with purpose, hope, and divine blessing that will reveal itself in God's perfect timing. My friend, tonight I want to speak to your heart one final time about hope, purpose, and the unseen work of God in your life. There are moments when life feels heavy, when circumstances seem stronger than your strength, and when the future appears hidden behind clouds of uncertainty. You may feel like you are walking through a long night, but I want you to remember something powerful tonight. God has never lost control of your story. Even when you feel confused, God is still guiding your steps with perfect wisdom and perfect love. You may be asking why certain things have happened in your life. Why have some prayers taken so long to be answered? Why have some dreams been delayed? And I want to tell you tonight that delay is not denial. God does not always work according to human schedules. We want immediate answers, immediate healing, immediate change. But God often works through patience because He is not only concerned with what you receive, but with who you become while you are waiting. There is a spiritual strength that grows in quiet seasons. When life is loud with success and comfort, people often forget to depend on God. But when life becomes difficult, hearts often turn toward heaven. And that is not weakness. That is spiritual awakening. God sometimes allows challenges because He is preparing you for greater responsibilities in the future. The blessings God has prepared for you may require strength, maturity, and faith that can only be built through experience. You may feel like giving up sometimes. You may feel tired of fighting battles that nobody else sees. But I want you to know that God sees every struggle you face. He sees every tear that falls in private. He hears every prayer you whisper when you feel alone at night. You are never truly alone, even when emotions try to convince you that you are forgotten. God's presence is often strongest in the moments when you feel weakest. Do not measure your life by comparing yourself to others. Comparison can steal peace from your heart. Some people move quickly in life, but that does not mean they are more favored by God. God's timing is perfect. Some lives are like rushing rivers, moving fast and powerful. Other lives are like deep wells, slow, but filled with hidden strength and deep spiritual richness. Your journey is not meant to look exactly like someone else's journey. There may be doors that have closed in your life, and I know how painful that can feel. But I want you to remember that God sometimes closes doors to protect you from paths that would not lead to your purpose. What looks like rejection from the world may actually be divine protection from heaven. God loves you too much to allow you to walk